The stage lights had long faded, but their echo still shimmered somewhere inside her chest, the way thunder lingers after lightning. Taylor Swift stood alone in her empty dressing room, staring at the cracked mirror that had seen too many versions of her. The girl, the dreamer, the fighter, and now the woman who had loved too loudly and lost too painfully. The night smelled like rain and old perfume, like applause fading into memory. She could still hear his voice, somewhere between the walls, whispering promises that once felt eternal, now broken like glass under the soft weight of regret. She took off her earrings, one by one, the diamonds catching the weak reflection of the mirror, as if mocking her for believing that forever could be worn. She laughed quietly, a trembling kind of laugh, the one that comes before tears, but she didn't cry. Not this time. Not anymore. She had already drowned in those tears months ago when the tabloids printed headlines like "Taylor's Heart Breaks Again" or "The Queen of Love Songs Finds Herself Alone." They didn't know the half of it. They never do. The cameras never catch the silence after the storm. She remembered the night she told him it was over, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. He had become another story that would end with her sitting on the floor, surrounded by lyrics and empty wine bottles, the kind of heartbreak that feeds songs but kills souls. And when he left, it wasn't just him walking out of her life. It was the sound of laughter disappearing. It was the smell of his cologne fading. It was the promise of normal life dying quietly between them. Weeks turned into months, and the world moved on, but Taylor didn't. At least not at first. She stayed behind closed curtains with her piano as her only witness. The keys became her confessional, each note a fragment of pain, turning slowly into melody. The first song she wrote after him wasn't a ballad of sorrow. It was quiet defiance, a whisper of survival. She called it "The Silence After the Storm," because that's what it felt like when the chaos ends and all that's left is the sound of your own heartbeat reminding you that you're still here. She started to heal, not in public, not on stage, but in small ways. She didn't post about it. She didn't talk about it. She just began to breathe again, to rediscover what it meant to wake up without checking her phone for his name, to walk through Nashville streets and not feel haunted by memories, to smile at strangers and actually mean it. She spent long evenings by the window writing lines that no one would hear for months, lines about forgiveness and faith and how sometimes love isn't about holding on, but about letting go. Then came the tour announcement. The headlines read, "Taylor Swift returns stronger than ever." But what they didn't see was the fear hiding behind that strength. She wasn't sure if she could face the world again, not as the performer, not as the icon, but as a woman whose heart had been shattered, yet somehow still beating. On the night of the first show, the arena was sold out. The crowd roared, but for the first time in her career, she hesitated backstage. Her hands trembling, her throat dry. She looked at the mirror and saw not the superstar, but the girl from Pennsylvania who used to dream about singing under the stars. Her manager knocked. "2 minutes, Tay." And she nodded, though her knees felt like water. She closed her eyes and whispered the same prayer she used to whisper when no one believed in her. Let the pain become music. Let the silence become light. And when the curtain rose, she stepped into the storm of lights, the roar of thousands of voices calling her name. And in that moment, she wasn't broken anymore. She was reborn. Each lyric she sang that night wasn't just a song. It was a confession to the world. Every note a tear she never cried, every chorus a heartbeat returned. She sang with fire, with grief, with beauty that comes only from surviving something you thought would destroy you. And as the audience sang back, she realized something she hadn't known before. They didn't love her because she was perfect. They loved her because she was human, because she had fallen and stood up again, because her story was theirs too. When the final note echoed through the stadium, she looked up at the sky, the stage lights merging with the stars, and for the first time in months, she smiled. Not the rehearsed red carpet smile, but the kind that reaches the eyes. That kind that says, "I made it through." and somewhere deep inside the silence that once haunted her turned into music again, a softer melody, one of peace and forgiveness. Backstage after the show, she sat alone for a moment, listening to the crowd still chanting her name. It wasn't noise anymore. It was a heartbeat, one she shared with thousands of strangers who had all come to find a piece of themselves in her pain. She picked up her journal and wrote one simple line beneath the sweat and eyeliner and exhaustion. Sometimes the ending is just another verse waiting to be sung. And as she closed the book, Taylor Swift finally realized the truth that every great artist learns too late, that it's not the love story that defines you, it's what you create after it ends. And in that realization, under the dim glow of backstage lights, she wasn't the girl who lost him anymore. She was the woman who found herself.